Hey guys, you rounder here, and we've got, I think maybe this is the last video we'll do on this cutoff versus small blind situation before moving on to something else. But, you know, of course we can come back to it at some point. If you guys don't know what's going on at all, then check out some of my previous deep dive videos. I think when I upload this one, I'm going to create a playlist for them. So go ahead, check out the playlist. And let's get into it right away this time. All right, so general thoughts and observations on this situation. We already actually did those, so I am going to steal from our previous notes. So let me just find it here. All right, so in general, we'll try to defend 60 to 70%. Small blind range is going to be stronger than our calling range, and we kind of already know those, right? But we'll go over them again. Again, the situation here is we are the cutoff. We open, and the small blind 3-bets us, and we flat call. So what range are we doing that with? Well, I'm going to start doing something where I kind of sort of I test my guess at what our range is, just to get better at quickly identifying ranges. So if you guys want, go ahead and, you know, pause or whatever, think about what would your actual range be here. You know, what's your opening range on the cutoff? So what I'm going to try to do is just really quick, and I literally just sort of, this idea popped into my head, but I'm going to sort of say what I think my cutoff range probably looks like. No, that's the button. Something like this. And I've worked with this range like a fair amount. No, not all these. Maybe down to ace 9, 10 8. That's kind of loose, I think. But something like this, right? This looks pretty reasonable. So that's my guess at what our cutoff opening range is. Now I'm going to just hover over cutoff. Okay, so down to... what did I miss here? King 7, King 6. Is that it? And Queen, no. And no Jack 8. Okay, so I was, pretty close. That's our cutoff opening range. Let's clear that out. Small blind 3-bets. I'm not going to worry about the small blind's range, but his 3-betting range is going to be pretty wide. So what are we calling with? Well, first of all, we're 4, and I remember some of this from the other day when I did some hands. I know we're going to be 4-betting something like that, right? Or no, sorry, maybe, I think we just 4-bet this. This is like our 4-bet range, so we've got, value and bluffs. Air 2-4, our calling range is going to be... maybe any pair. I think we call any pair. Again, depending on the size, if this person 3-bets really big, we can probably fold some of these. If they 3-bet smaller, we're going to call with most of our pairs. Keep in mind, we do have position. Obviously, all this stuff. This, I don't think King Jack. Certainly Queen Jack, Queen 10. All these suited. All the suited aces, right? And, pretty much, I think all these guys. I don't think we fold anything there. Jack 9, I recall. 10 8, I recall from some other hand analysis. So I think King 9, Queen 9 sounds reasonable. So we'll double check that. But that's what I'm guessing our calling range is going to be. Maybe not Queen 9. Queen 9, I'm not sure about. But this is a good practice, right? Go through, make sure that I know... not only being able to pull it up here, but also just being able to have it in my brain what the calling range is. So I believe this is pretty close. Let's see if I missed anything. Again, this is going to be our call 3-bets. And we're always, in this, we're always on the left. So cutoff versus small blind. Okay, woo, missed a couple here. So Ace Jack is not in that range. I think Ace Jack can't be a 4-bet. Ace Jack's just a fold. And then there's no King Queen either. There's no King 9. It's just King 10 suited. Cutoff versus small blind. Call 3-bets. Okay. Right. So it has ace-2 in there, but if we go to our 4-bet range, we 4-bet ace-2. So let's go ahead and fix the range first of all. So cutoff for small blind. What are we doing with king-queen? Or folding king-queen offsuit? I guess, yeah, I mean, it's a 3. Really? Hold on. Let me pause it and double check. I don't need to pause it just to double check. We'll just go ahead and solve it right here. So we're going to use Poker Snowy. The reason I like to use the actual application instead of the pre-flop advisor is because it's just what I like to do. I don't know. So we are... Oops. Yeah. So if you ever do that, you have to copy the scenario. Let's see. We're in the cutoff right here, and we're going to open it to $4.50. Button's going to fold. Small blind's going to pot it. 3-bet. This guy's going to fold. This guy's going to fold. Why does it look like we're in MP? Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. We'll just copy the scenario. All right, fold, fold, half pot, fold on the button, pot up the small blind, fold the big blind. And what do we flat call with? So all we do is go to analysis. I think we want the other one. We want the table. We view table, and there it is. So let's pull this over here, and then look at this. And we can see that that's our 4-bet range. Ace-2 suited is a 4-bet 65% of the time, so I'm just going to fill it in. And then we've got down to 5-4. 8-6 suited is the reason that's in there, it's just a very low percentage pre-flop hand. So I don't have it in my pre-flop range. I just am I drop that out of my pre-flop range to keep things simple. And we have, King 10... Queen 10, what is this? Jack 9, yep. 10-8, yep. 9-7, no. And then no King Queen. So, King Queen is just a fold. And it looks like that is our range minus Ace-2. If you guys see any issues here, let me know. But I think that's where we're at. Again, we may adjust some of these ranges later, but for now, cutoff versus small blind, and I'm just going to overwrite that to make sure we have the right range. All right, I'm going to set this, we'll go ahead and call there, and I'm going to just minimize that. We're going to come back and look at that later. So this is our range 1, which is our cutoff calling range. So let's link those up and hold them EQ right here. There's that. And our small blind 3-betting range. So 3-bet ranges, we are the small blind versus the cutoff. Here's our range. And let's go ahead and link that up. There it is. And nice and easy, we'll copy this to range 1. We can use Control H. Let's do that right now. Control H. Range 1 is going to be cutoff. Replace all. And range 2 is going to be the small blind. And we are going to just keep trying to get faster and faster at this stuff. So let's do it. All right. Small blind range we have right here. Copy that over from Hold'em EQ. Plug it in here. And those are our 2 ranges. Again, we've got 44.2% equity in the cutoff. 44.2%. Small blind has, therefore, 55.8. And again, this is the same from the other hand. 174 combinations in this player's range, the cutoff, versus 166 combinations in the small blind. And also, I mean, you guys notice we go through this again and again. We're going to keep we're going to continue getting better at it. So, I mean, a lot of this is just practice. A lot of this is just showing up and doing it. And I got to be honest, having you guys, log into YouTube and watch these videos really helps me actually make these. I mean, it really does. It makes a big difference. So I want to thank you guys who are actually watching these, because if I sat down right now, I'll be honest, my motivation level is at like maybe a 4 right now, maybe a 3. It's just not super high. It's the end, it's after the work day. I'm just, I'm a little tired. I've got I literally have a cockroach problem in my apartment. The apartment building I moved into is nice, but it's very old, and apparently there's like bugs. So I had, the exterminator guy come today, and I haven't been sleeping well because it's like grossing me out. And yeah, so my motivation is just not that high. So I just went into my note, I went into my Evernote note, and where is it? Right here. And literally, clicked, opened up the software, started Camtasia, and just hit record. And now we're going. And I have no choice now but to get through this. So let's do it. All right. Now, a cool thing I just thought of right now is I can probably copy this, paste it right there, and boom. We get our board, we get our new equities. Let's shrink this note down just a little bit so we can see that when we click off of it. All right, after the flop, oh shoot, I already looked. But again, we should know that this is going to be really bad for our range, because ace, king, kings and aces aren't in our range. Any flop with 2 high cards is just gonna, favor the small blind range. I mean, just think about the small blind's range. It's got, almost all of the face cards, and ours has, quite a few missing. All these offsuit, king jack, ace jack, queen jack offsuit. Just this whole little block right here is missing from our range, and he has, some of his is missing too, but he has most of it. So any flop like this, just like the last flop we did, the king 10-7, any flop that has 2 high cards is going to be bad. Now, what's interesting is the king 10-7 was not as bad. Yeah, we had 39% equity on the king 10-7. We only have 37% on this one. So this is a brutal flop for us. So what did we ended up defending? I'm looking over at the note, so I'm cheating a little bit, but just as a sort of, we ended up continuing on the cutoff when we were facing a bet 61.5%. So I think at most, because we have 3% less equity, I don't know if this is right or not. Let me know what you guys think, but I don't know. Maybe we defend 3% less of the time. I know that that's not theoretically, but I'm just saying, the lower our equity, the less often we're going to be able to really reasonably defend. And again, we don't have an excellent distribution of equity on this board either. We've got a set. We've got 2 sets where you've got queens and 5s. That's the same as the other board. It's still just not a great distribution. We have, 4 gut shots with ace 10. We've got a bunch of gut shots, but ace 10 is, the nut gutter. Jack 10 suited is open-ended. But, we don't have that much is what I'm trying to say. Ace Jack is another gut shot. So I'm going to say that maybe if we can defend here 60%, we'll be in good shape. We'll shoot for 60% and see what we get. So I'll just, what does that mean? Really quick for the small blind. Pause the video if you need to. So the fact that we need to defend around 60%, that we're hoping, best case, to defend 60% of the time. What does that mean for the small blind? Pause the video if you need to. But what it means is that a half pot bet by the small blind on this board with these ranges will show an immediate profit by the from the small blind, right? Because if he bets half pot, we need to defend 66%. We need to defend 2/3. If we're only trying to defend 60%, then that means that, you know, he's going to show an immediate profit pre-flop. Again, it's okay if a lot of the times the small blind does show an immediate profit by betting any 2 cards, because he had to risk money pre-flop to get, you know, this situation, and we are going to, you know, take the flop down or take it down pre-flop, so we don't need to, you know, break even post-flop. Now that should make sense. That doesn't make sense. Go read applications and limit hold'em. Let's put these numbers in. Cutoff percentage is going to be 37%. Oops. Percent. Remember, I think last time I said let's just mark that in red. And I'm kind of curious. I want to in a minute play with a couple different. I want to play with a couple different flops to see if there are any, like, what a good flop. Like, I want to just, you know, this is the stuff we're going to do here, guys. We're going to, you know, play around and try to see what we can learn. We're not just, you know, strictly solving the hand, but like, I'm curious now that I see that we've done a couple flops and these aren't good. You know, the more flops you do, the more you might realize your pre-flop range is a little bit off. And we've talked about that before. I mean, most of it last video was due to the fact that I was using the wrong pre-flop range. But let's just really quick generate a few random flops and see if, you know, which ones we think are going to be good. Let's do that first, okay? Let's say what we think a good flop for our range would be. Now, just looking at this, I'm going to say if there's cards 5 through 10, you know, if there's 2 cards that are 5 through 10, I think that's good for our flop, for our range, you know, because we have more of the suited connectors, the low suited connectors. So I would say like a 5, 7, 9 flop is going to be good for our range. And sure enough, our range actually gets ahead on that flop. So that's a good flop. Again, 8 high flops are very rare. So pretty much any 8 high flop is going to be very good for us. See, we're way ahead there. And I mean way ahead, we improve a lot. And then anything with like aces or 2 high cards are going to be terrible for us. Aces are going to be like, anything with an ace on the board is probably going to be like really bad. Let's see if like an ace with low cards, not as bad, but still pretty bad. 8, 5. Yeah, it stays about the same. Let's see that. So let's just kind of, there we go. So let's generate. So I think, yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be either not that much worse for us than original or a little bit worse. Okay, six points down, so that's pretty bad for us. Keeps generating it automatically. King 9-6, that surprises me a little bit. That seems, I didn't think that would be quite as bad for us, the King 9-6 flop. But we lose about 2 points of equity, so I guess it's not that bad. That is going to be bad, I guess. Anything with a king. So what I'm curious about is like, what's a jack do? Okay, so pretty much any time there is anything higher than a jack on the board, our equity is going to be kind of bad. And anytime that everything is below a jack, our equity is going to be better. See, there we go. We go up there. What if it's like 10, 9, 8? We go up. 10, 9, 8 rainbow, you know, we still go. So you guys get kind of an idea. And this is one thing that, you know, Flopzilla has always been really good for, is just sort of getting an idea of how hand strengths and equities change on the flop. So I think that's a good thing to think about. And as you can tell, like watching me guess these, I'm not that great at it. I'm definitely not great at it, but now I know, you know, when I call a 3-bet sitting in the small, sitting on the cutoff, or probably in the button. It's probably pretty similar, right? If I'm on the button and I call and, you know, the flop comes king, queen, 5 or king, jack, 5 or ace, queen, 5, you know, I know like, okay, you know, I might want to, you know, try to defend 57 to 62% of the time, something like that. And I know that I'm just not going to be able to defend a ton. And therefore I probably can, you know, start mucking the worst hands in my range a lot easier and not, you know, continuing with really weak pairs and stuff like that. Okay, let's keep it moving. This is not going to be an hour and a half video, I promise. Okay, let's see. Let's look at our distribution a little bit. And let's just lower this down so that we can, come on. So that we can see our ranges and the board and everything in Hold'em EQ. So, yeah, we know that we only have like 6 combinations of sets. What do we have for 2 pairs here? We don't have king, queen. So we have king, queen suited, 2 combinations only. And we don't have any king 5. We don't have any queen 5. Yeah, so we don't have a lot of really strong hands. So yeah, and no overpairs, obviously. So yeah, we have 8 combinations of strong hands. I think on this board, because it's rainbow, I am much more confident that I just don't think we need to have a raising range. I know that the king queen is kind of connected, but you know, let's see. Our opponent has a open-ended straight draw 3% of the time, so not very often. He's got a ton of gut shots, so like gut shots are a concern, but you know, those don't have that many outs. So I think that what we want to do is only defend by calling here. And that's going to make it so that we have to defend a little bit, you know, more, but again, I think if we can hit around 60% defending, 57% defending frequency, we'll be okay. If we added some raises in, I think we could defend a little bit less. But because our equity is just so bad here, I think raising is going to be tough. Let me know if you guys agree with that or not. Okay, so I'm going to copy this over from our other hand. And we'll just delete all of the extra data. All right. So let's just take raises out for now. If you want to raise, yeah, you're going to raise your good hands and you're going to be susceptible to overbets on the turn. That's pretty much it. So a few strong hands means we may only defend by calling. So let's just delete raises for now. Also, if you guys, oh, you know what? I don't think I did it on video, but I went into Poker Snowy afterwards with that other hand, and I looked, and it was defending around the same percentage as we were, but it was mostly calling. It wasn't raising, you know, practically anything. I think it was raising like 1.5% of the time. So much, much less than we were. So I think in a similar sort of situation, maybe taking a little bit of information from Snowy, let's try to solve this one without raising. All right. What we do need to do is add a strong calls category. And we should spell it correct. So what are our strong hands going to be? They're going to be our sets in 2 pair. Our sets in king, queen. So let's grab those. Again, we talked about this technique. What do we have for top pair? I mean, we're going to call all 3 streets with top pair as well. So let's go ahead and add that. as a strong call, because we're just gonna end up calling down in a 3-bet pot with King 10, King Jack, or King Queen. Maybe we fold King 10 by the river, but it's gonna be tough. So medium strength are going to be our middle pair, jacks, 10s. I mean, we're definitely only going to be able to call with like jacks and 10s on one street. I mean, the nice thing is they block some straights, they block some 2 pairs in our opponent's range. They block, one pair, top pair hands in our opponent's range. So like 10s and jacks, I think we want to call with on the flop and maybe the turn, depending on if we like turn a gut shot. But we're probably going to have to fold by the river. We can't call 3 barrels with pocket jacks on this board, obviously. And even calling 2 barrels is going to be pretty uncomfortable. So our middle pairs, and we want absolute. So yeah, our ace queen, our king queen, our queen 10, and then I'll go grab the weak pairs. Those we're definitely going to be calling a couple streets with. And then our weak pairs, our weak made hands, that is. Yeah, maybe jacks and 10s, and we'll just be mucking everything else. So jacks through 10s. And let's just go ahead and make sure that's a nice clean looking range. So if we look, I mean, with our medium strength hands, we're barely ahead. I mean, we're ahead, but that's if our opponent's, betting his whole range. If he actually does bet any 2 cards, we're ahead with these hands. If he bets a more reasonable range, if he bets, 70 to 75% on this, flop, or even, more scary if he bets 55%, which is probably like, game theory correct to bet like, 55%, maybe 60% on this flop, then, we're probably not beating his range, but we just need to defend, a certain amount. Okay. But that just shows that those medium hands are not that strong against even his entire range. All right, so weak hands that we should, maybe consider calling with. Let's see. Let's put the whole range back in. So we have that. Yeah, I mean, it feels really weak to just like muck 9s, but let's leave them out of this for now. And let's just go ahead and say we'll add weak into this last category. But what are some, bluffs or draws that we can call with? We've got open-ended straight draws, easy. We've got gut shots. So our gut shots and our open-ended straight draws, we're going to be calling with, right? And we should probably count up our combinations. I didn't even put what we're looking for. So 60% times our 155 combinations. So we're looking for 93 combinations. I don't want to rate calculator, really. So 93 combinations are what we are looking for. So far we have 14. $30. And these are all like really easy calls. I mean, these are all pretty straightforward. So we're not really reaching out of our comfort zone yet. Okay, so we're up to 64 combinations. So we just need another 30, which shouldn't be too hard. Let's plug our full range back in. And, but we did already grab all our gut shots. Now we probably need to look to like 2-card backdoor flush draws. So let's filter those out and go with, weak pairs. So we can go with, we don't need 43, but we don't have enough if we just grab 17. So let's grab all 17 of those. So I showed you guys this trick last video, but if you didn't see all of last video, I don't blame you. So what we do is we grab the range from Hold'em EQ, throw it in the range here, and then what we have is only our 2-card backdoor flush draws. This is a 67 2-card backdoor flush draws. And then with that, we can go and filter for any pair, weak pairs. This is actually weak pairs are better, right? So, so really, I mean, to get about 30 hands, we can grab any, we got 1, 2 pair, 4 times. So let's just grab the ace high, the weak pairs. All right, those are the weak pairs, so we'll grab those and add those to our list of bluffs and draws. Unfilter that, grab all the, what did I just grab? Weak pairs? Grab all the ace highs and copy the ace high. Now, oops, ace jack. Isn't that also a gut shot? Yeah, we've got ace jack suited already. Why is it grabbing ace jack? I filtered for... These are all 2-card backdoor flush draws. Ace high. Okay, well, anyway, I'm not worried about it because it's gonna clean it up because it's in this same range. We're gonna add it to this range. So when I put it back in and it cleans up the range, it's going to pull those. It's only going to count 1 combo of each, but just be careful when you're doing this that you don't double count combinations, because we already have, we've already accounted for ace jack, and obviously ace queen is already accounted for as a pair. Queen jack, all those. But if we had any other draws that we weren't putting in this range, they would get double counted. Like if we had broke off draws and bluffs or something, then we could double count. But I don't want to like go crazy about it. So what I'll do is copy it, plug it in here, and then I'm going to grab this entire thing, copy it, paste it in here, and notice it's going to clean that up, and we're going to end up with 44 total combos. So you can see that ace jack and ace 10 suited are all in there, but like ace 9, it's only grabbing the backdoor flush draws. So that should be pretty clear. Jack 10, and you can look, what is each hand in the range for? Jack 10 is the open-ended straight draw. Jack 9 is a gutter. 10-9 is a gutter. And we're going to grab all the gut shots. Now, if we wanted to clean this up a little bit, okay, we could filter for the gut shots that are also 2-card backdoor flush draws. And we could pull those out. Like if we thought that, 44 combos is a little too many, which I kind of think it is, we could pull out the ones that aren't also backdoor flush draws. I don't know if that's where I would start with getting rid of hands, but that's where we could go. Like Jack 9 here really isn't that great because there's so many better straights. Like we could make a lot of worse hands. So the Jack 9 of hearts, the 10-9 of hearts, maybe we could get rid of, but that's 2 combinations. So let's not, again, our goal isn't to, to go crazy here. But actually, sorry, 44 is fine because we needed 30 more combinations. We already had 20. So we're actually not up to enough. And then you see this whole string. It is 44 combos. So we're actually not up to enough. So that makes it easier. So we've got 30, 44, that's 74, 84, 88. So we're up to 88 combinations. So we can copy this, plug that back in, and we have, of our 155, we've got 88 combinations that we're continuing with. What else can we continue with? Maybe now is when we add back in 9s. So what did I say? So 93 minus 88 is 5 combinations. So let's add 9s back in. All right, so we'll just add in 9s. And we'll just add that here as like a weak hand. 9, 9. We add it in. I mean, there's better ways to do this, obviously, but I just like using the software. Boom. Now we have 50 combos. 50, 30, that's 80, 94. So we call with 94 combinations, or 94 divided by 155 equals 61%. Right? 61, barely. I mean, rounding, barely. 61%. And for some reason, I made these all bold, which I like to make the hands bold, right? Usually? No. None of this stuff's supposed to be bold. All right, I paused it, cleaned that up a little bit, and we're good. So this actually goes down here. Never mind, we can just delete it. Okay, so we call when facing a bet 94 times. Let's talk about our facing a check range, because that only took a short 36 minutes to get through. So let's quickly get through this, and we will have gotten making a video of a full, flop solution down to about an hour if we can get through this in the next 24 minutes. So what are the strong bets that we're going to make? Again, we are already pretty familiar with the range, so we know that we've got sets, 2 pairs, and top pair that we can bet with. We don't want to bet every single strong hand, though, because we don't want our checking range to be too weak, obviously. So what we can do is leave like a set of queens in there, maybe like one or 2 combinations of like sets of queens, or all of them, or like our 2 combos of king queen suited, because one of them has a backdoor flush draw. I don't know. King queen suited of diamonds has a backdoor flush draw, so that I don't know. I don't think it matters too much here, but we know what our strong hands are. Our top pair and better are strong hands. So let me just filter those, grab those, and put those all. So that's 14 combos. But we should put something in our check back range. It's not 5s. We want to bet 5s, obviously, but and queens we want to bet too, because he can have ace king and aces and king queen and ace queen in his range, right? Obviously we're blocking some of his queens, but he can have aces and kings and all that stuff in his range, so we're not too worried about that. So what's the best strong hand to check back to protect our range? Maybe it's just some top pair, like king 10 suited. I don't love it, but like king 10 suited is not that scared of anything. A 10, makes 2 pair. A jack makes a open-ended straight. An ace makes a gut shot. So like really we're just worried about aces with king 10 suited. King jack suited, sort of the same thing, right? So king jack suited is maybe even better example. So maybe one of the top pairs we could check back, or we just bet everything and not worry about it, because most opponents probably aren't checking all that balanced a range, and we probably just want to bet for value. Bet, to build the pot with most of our good hands, because they're going to be ahead of our opponent's checking range most of the time. We can definitely check some of our middle pair hands, right? I think we'll probably check all of our middle pair hands back. So let's grab all those. And those are, I would call those strong hands. Those are going to be some pretty strong checks. And we are going to bet, I think, some of our weak pairs. So let's bet jacks and tens. I'm not that worried about, but I think we should be betting nines and pretty much all the other weak pairs, right? Because we probably have the best hand at this point, but his folding range has a lot of equity against us. So I think that we should probably bet nines through twos and then the 6-5 and the 5-4 as well. So what I'm going to do is unclick that. Ace-5 is like trickier, right? Because an overcard helps us and can hit hands for him. So let's check Ace-5 for now. And what I want to do is filter. I want to take out jacks and tens from this range, and then we've got weak pair, and I'll filter out that, and I'm going to filter out Ace-5, go into weak pair. We've got all those are all the ones we want to bet, and that is how many combos? Why doesn't it say? Oh, 48. No. I don't know what's going on here. Right. Weak pair is 48 combos. That sounds right. So there's 48 combinations right there. And I mean, our betting frequency doesn't matter too much, but we just need to make sure we're balancing out our strong bets with some weak bets and draws. So those are all pairs that we're betting. So those are like definitely just weak hands. And we need some draws to bet as well. Our open-ended straight draw is probably fine. All right, we can add in our gutters and our open-ended straight draws. Those all make sense to bet. And those are going to also be, weak bets. And, gut shots are, pretty much bluffs. And then we've got some 2-card backdoor, flush draws that we can add in as some additional bluffs. And what we can do is look for like 6-7, backdoor, 3-card straight and flushes. So, Jack 9, I mean, we're already betting that. We're already betting most of the stuff up high. 8-7 suited, 7-6 suited. So yeah, let's just grab 8-7 and 7-6 suited that are backdoor flush draws and see what we end up with. And also we may need to add some of these to our checking range. I haven't done this exercise yet much as far as when we are checked to what to do next. Like 74 combo seems like a lot. It just seems like we're betting a lot when checked to. Although that might be right, because when we do get checked to on the flop, I mean, our opponents probably check folding a high frequency of the time. Because they can bet so liberally. What was this? 14 combinations? So we had 14 combinations of strong bets, which means that we want about 3 times as many, 2.5 to 3 times as many. So 42. So we're betting way too much with weak hands and bluffs and draws. So what I want to do is I'm going to check back some of our stronger draws to keep our checking range is going to be very like condensed. However, again, we have a lot of hands that can turn a strong hand on the turn. So it's like it is condensed, but on some cards it won't be. On some cards our range is going to become pretty polarized because we can have flushes and we can have straights. So let's put this back in. And what do we want to take out of that other range? Which this gets kind of tricky because it's in here somewhere, and we have to take the hands out and like redo the ranges. So don't be surprised if there ends up being a mistake in here. I will try to make sure there isn't, but so our open-ended straight draw we could put in our check back range. Not sure I love that, but maybe some of our gut shots. How about our ace high gut shots, right? Our ace jack and our ace 10. Let's go ahead and pull ace jack and ace 10 out, which our suited ones are right here, and that's all we have. So we can just delete those out of that range and add ace jack suited through ace 10 suited right there. And again, these aren't supposed to be bold. I'll fix that after. And then what else? We had all of our combination backdoor flush draws. Again, maybe some ace highs, like some ace 8. I mean, we're already checking those back. I need to pull hands out of what we were betting. We could, check 9s and go to 8s here. So throw 9s back up here. That's another 6 combos down. I really like betting these, the 7-6, maybe 8-7, the 8-7s with backdoor draws. I mean, those are really weak, and so we can maybe like count those as pure bluffs. Obviously they're not pure bluffs, but we can put those in our like check. Okay, we can check them back, and then when we don't hit, those are good hands that we can fold on the turn. Let's see if we took those out correctly, and then what our numbers look like. You can kind of see how this is, just gets fine-tuned, and you can kind of play around with what we're doing here. So that's 57 combos. And, I mean, maybe you just say that, like, 4s and 3s and 2s are just check folds, Maybe you'll get to showdown, but you probably won't. Or you could, the thing is he's got ace-5 in his range. That's, like, 3 combinations of 5s that we can get value from. So betting with 8, 7s, and 6 maybe doesn't have as much value as you would think. And he only has 6, 7s, and 8s that he's 3-betting. So really anything below 8s, we're not, any of these we're not really getting a lot of value from when we bet. I don't think it's bad, but I just don't think we can bet that much because let me just verify that this is only 14 combos. Pretty sure it is, but 14, yep. Yeah, so we just don't have that many strong hands, so I don't think we can bet that often. And even if, we bet 3 times, right, we're supposed to have like 42, so we're just bluffing way too much here. The other thing we could do is bet weaker. We could bet with our ace queens and stuff like that, but that just makes our checking range so weak. So let's go ahead and just pull out most of this stuff. That's only 3 combos. Jack 10, Jack 9, 6-5 suited, 8. So yeah, I think... Wait, how is this so many it's all the pairs, right? So let's pull out the 4s through 2s. Because there's just very little chance for those. And we'll keep the 6s through 8s in there as bluffs that, can make overcards fold, and we'll check the 9s. So 8s through 6s. So let's see what this looks like. 39. Okay, and we wanted like 42. So that looks pretty good. If you really want to, find 3 more combos, I'm sure there are some. You could put the 8-7s back in. Sure, let's do that. Just I mean, those are pretty darn weak. So sure, something like that. And like in practice, are you really gonna bet 8-7 of 8-7 of diamonds probably, but like yeah, like 8-7 of spades, maybe. I don't know. 3-card flush for the gutter. I mean, it's just tough. So that is 42 combos. So we've got 42 there. And also, I mean, honestly, not having these is fine, but I want to get this video over with because this is going to be pretty good. This will be the first like full-on flop solution we've solved, which is nice. And I mean, a lot of these are going to be bluffs, so I'm not going to put them all in, but we are checking back these hands that are pretty strong. I'm not going to like go through and find all of our folds, but so we are, we've got 18 combos here. And we have all of this stuff here, plus we're going to add in the, what did we, so we've got 6s, so we got 4s, 3s, and 2s as well. That are, weak hands or stuff that could possibly continue. That is 35 combinations. So we've got, we've accounted for 14 plus 42 plus 18 plus 35, so 109 out of our 155, and the rest of them, I mean, just to get an idea of what else we are checking back, like pretty much there's a ton of 3-card flushes in here that we're checking back that are like weak draws or things we could use as bluffs later on. There's some medium strength hands, but realistically we're continuing with a fair number of hands that can improve. And we're going to fold more and more, but we're going to call down 2 streets with these. And we're going to call down to the turn and river with a lot of our draws. We're going to call the turn with a hand like 9s. And where'd our 5-4 and 6-5? Those might go into... those I think would be good for, technically 5s isn't in this range, but yeah, these maybe should go down into the checking weak hands range. Maybe the 8s and 6 should go down in there too. I'm not really sure, but I'm going to pause it and bring this situation up in Snowy, and we'll talk about it a little bit more for the last 8 minutes. All right, so real quick, the last 8 to 10 minutes, we're just going to go over Snowy. Here's our situation. This is the situation where our opponent bets. And we can pull up our ranges, or we could just, grab a couple hands to see if we were correct with what we should be calling with and what we should be raising. But let's just go through the overall sort of look and feel of what Snowy's doing. So, big difference is Snowy is only defending about 40% of the time. So we're defending 40% more than Snowy. Which, again, I mentioned, this is, I think we should try to defend, 60%, but realistically, our equity's terrible on this flop. So I don't know that folding 60% of the time is correct, but I understand why it is that high, because this is a really bad situation for our range. Also, Snowy is not raising a lot. So it raises pocket 5s some of the time, king, queen some of the time, and that's it. All right, so it's raising a couple hands, some of the time. All right, what is it, calling with? Let's see. This is just how often we have it. So we actually want to go to suggested action. And, right, so king, queen of hearts, it's like raising all the time. Diamonds, some of the time. fives, like half the time. Let's see. What are we calling with? So yeah, it's calling, queens, king, jack. What did we say that we were? What's like the worst hand that we were calling with? Like ace jack suited. Yeah, so it's calling with ace jack, ace 10, and no, I did not mean that was the worst hand. How about like ace 4, diamond, diamond? Yeah, so it's not calling with like the ace high with the backdoor draw, and that kind of makes sense, right? Like, what are we really calling with that? Like in game, or am I gonna call this half size pot bet with ace 4 club? Like, I don't even know how that got in there. No, those probably are not calls. I'm not sure why 10 minutes ago I thought they were, but I definitely understand now that those probably aren't. And also, did I clean this up? Let me just, for some reason that doesn't look clean since the 9s are at the end. That is 50 combinations though. Oops. So, why? Yeah, so I was, also, like, I like to go and just put a space in at some point here so that it breaks it up into a couple lines. So yeah, I was trying to hit this number, this, 60% defending frequency, but, yeah, that probably wasn't, it would be more, I think, reasonable to, like, 3-bet, or raise the flop with, ace 5 has a pair plus the backdoor draw. Ace 4 doesn't though. Neither does ace 2. So probably just get rid of some of these calling hands, and the rest of this is pretty close. But yeah, it's gonna be pretty self-explanatory. It calls with decent hands. 5-4. It is calling with 6-5. It's calling with 100%. So those were correct calls wherever they are. Did I fold those? Yikes. It's right here. Wait, maybe I just forgot about those. I'd have to literally rewatch the video to see what I said about those pairs. But oh yeah, I think I was like, well, I think we'll just muck anything worse than 9s. So like this garbage right here, probably some of that we could take out. What about like ace 9 club? Yeah, really there's not that much that it's suggesting calling with. It's pretty clear what the plan is. These are gutters. These are sets. Those are 2 pairs. And that's it. So it's got a pretty clean solution on this particular hand. It's the high card. So, whoops. That's just how often we have high card, how often we have 1 pair, or how often we are calling. So what are the high cards we're calling with? I think the gut shots. So this is a pretty clean solution and probably, closer to correct. But this is a good thing to like sort of catch my attention. And also just looking at the situation a little bit more, this is a 3-bet pot. Our opponent's betting half pot into us. It's a big call to make with ace 3 of clubs. And like looking at the situation and kind of thinking it through, like how I would think about it in game. Yeah, ace 3 of clubs is probably a muck here. Like I got it. Okay. So that's how I would clean this up a little bit. I would look through and add in, now how low a pair does it go down to? It's just the 6-5, like there's no pocket 4. So let me just rank it by cards, and wait a minute. Oh, okay, because it's folding. So it's just folding jacks. See, I don't think that's correct. I don't think we should just muck jacks here, right? Because that seems too weak. I know that's not a good reason, but our opponent can have like jacks block a lot of our opponent's betting, his value betting range, and can block straight draws, and so and it blocks, the open-ended straight draw. So jacks and tens being, mucks. So fours, threes, twos, but it calls with 5-4 of clubs. Let me see. It calls with all the 5-4s. Well, clubs, all the possible. So clubs, hearts, and so even hearts, which has no backdoor flush draw, it's calling. I guess because it's calling because it blocks the set of fives, although the set of fives isn't technically in the opponent's range. But yeah, those are some of the things to consider. So I would definitely clean this up a little bit. I don't know if I agree with everything, but that's what I would do. Is I would go down here in the notes and musings, and I would just make some notes about what Poker Snowy says and sort of what I think of the hand. So I'm gonna unbold this in a second. Actually, it's like 10s through 6s, but calling with 5-4 suited. Yeah, 5-5's not in the small blind 3-bet range. And it also, So again, what I'm sort of building this for is as a tool to maybe use for like coaching or further study, but it's questions that I'm not so sure that I know exactly how to tackle myself, but it's getting me a lot closer. And that's what's really cool is that, we've got sort of a worked out solution. I can go back through and kind of clean this up a little bit based on, I think I was being a little crazy on some of these. But like ace 3, ace 5, ace 6, ace 7, ace 8, this isn't that many combos. So if we grab all these, these aces down to, the 6, 5, and 5, 4, I think are fine because they have pairs. But if we grab these, and I know I grabbed one too many, but we're going to get rid of it in a second. Whoops. Wait. Whoops. Oh. Did I not? Oh, it might not have grabbed them because of the space. Hold on. Yeah, it's not grabbing it because of the space. No big deal. I got it. Okay, so grabbed all those. And we can take out ace 5. That's only 2 combos. All right, so that's 18 combinations less. So that's going to be 32 combos. So 62, 76, something like 76 combos instead of 94. 76 over 155. Yeah, like 50%. So maybe that's what's reasonable. Maybe that's the, what I think my best solution right now is that I can come up with is we defend this flop 50% of the time. And this is how we do it. We're at 1 hour and 3 minutes, so I'm not going to go in and do Poker Snowy stuff with the facing a check stuff. Except that let's go ahead and do it. We'll copy the scenario. He checks, and all I want to do is look at the range and the frequency to see how far off we are on frequency. So he's only betting 28% of the time. What did we end up saying we were betting? 42. So we are betting clear. 42 plus 14 is 56 divided by 155, 36%. So we are betting more, but I think I did a good job not going crazy with betting too much. And we can kind of see that this is not a situation where you should just be betting every time you're checked to. What is he betting? Actual hands, and I don't know what I think this is. I don't think this is related. One pair. Yeah, he bet, he's checking a lot of one pair. It's probably a pretty mixed strategy. So yeah, like sets and all this stuff, like good cards, ace 4 of clubs. So, 3 card straight draws with an ace, betting. Get the general idea. So you can definitely go through and look at that. But I think this is a pretty good solution. By breaking down the hand, thinking about it, learning the ranges, I got a pretty reasonable solution. And then using Poker Snowy, I was able to sort of fine tune that, pick out a few spots where I'm not sure I would actually play them wrong in game, but where I'm probably being a little bit aggressive, and sort of tune that down a little bit. Also, it's hard to figure out exactly what the correct defending frequency is. Only you can only really figure out whether or not you think it should go up or down from that 66%, 70% sort of benchmark based on the equity. But I hope you guys enjoy this. I think this one was actually pretty good. If I can get it to the point where these are just about 60 minutes and we do a quick intro, the actual situation. Like this one, we had 2 different sort of decision trees to go through, the facing a bet and facing a check. When we do these as the 3-better, they're going to be faster. We can probably get through them in like 30 minutes because all we have to do is figure out one of those ranges and then look at it a little bit. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave your comments. And if you guys have, videos that you want to do some Leak Finder stuff on, let me know. And I'll see you next time. Keep on grinding, keep on studying. This is URounder. I'll see you guys later.